couple of days. First, today is Black Friday, which has changed a lot in the last
Oh yeah.
times. Black Friday started at 6 a.m., not midnight. And you know how stores were open on Thanksgiving, that's changed. So that's a good thing. But we have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but then Giving Tuesday. This is important, especially for nonprofits.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again, Neil. It's crazy. I used to work in retail years ago. I do not leave the house on Black Friday anymore. I just don't do it. And Amazon runs Black Friday all week long now, so I've actually done most of my Christmas shopping, which is great. But yeah, I mean, we obviously have the spending days here with Black Friday and Cyber Monday, where some great discounts out there where people can go get some great things, to give us gifts, and then that's fantastic. But Giving Tuesday is such a special day because it really just calls on the generosity of others. If you can afford it to give to organizations that in need of help. And this year, Vet SOS is one of those. We now have our official nonprofit status, and we'd love to be the organization that you look to support. We're trying to get off the ground here as a nonprofit, working towards building this online recording platform where we can get every veteran and veteran spouse transition story and create this sortable database of just amazing, powerful stories, and continue to share the great messages that we have and build out our team to be more impactful to help our veteran community even more.
All right. So but I think that it's fantastic. And what people give to with that SOS? Kind of dive in deeper to what is going to be involved, the whole mission and vision that you had, because we haven't talked about. We talked too much. We talked a lot about the podcast, but not really the whole transition story that's so needed. What you're trying to build.
Yeah, so with starting with Vet SOS mainly is the podcast. Obviously, we have the big part of us continuing to share resources, educate the community on what's available to them, as well as provide education in areas like educational benefits and entrepreneurship and our overall mission is going to be to empower veterans and families through education, connection, and innovative tools to ensure that no one feels alone during the transition from military service to civilian life. That was our core mission when we started. That's what we're going to continue to do. And obviously, we've broadened that scope a little bit to include, all the various transitions we go through. But we're going to continue to really try to support our community as best we can and let them know what's out there, as well as give them a chance to share their stories. Because if you haven't been paying attention, the veteran story is powerful. There is so much information in there, and so many different ways we can share that story. And we're going to continue to build strong partnerships that help us amplify those voices and continue to share these stories that are going to help others. Because the number one thing that I've heard in the 3+ years I've been doing this is I thought I was the only one. Veterans still think they're the only one struggling with something. And truth be told, every veteran struggles with something. To different degrees, obviously. Some have made it through it, some are still working through it, some of them are still trying to figure it out. But every one of them struggle with something, and it's important that we share those stories so that we can help others realize, one, they're not alone, and two, hopefully find the resources that are going to work for them.
Absolutely. The resources that work for them, such an important thing, Shawn, because you never know what is the next thing that we can do to help veterans. And the bottom line is these stories are amazing. We talked about this so much. Everyone had a different veteran transition story. If everyone would have great transition stories, we'd be in a lot better shape right now, especially for veterans.
That's true, and that there's a million different reasons why a transition doesn't go well. Sometimes it's the fact that there wasn't enough time, they didn't allocate enough time, they weren't afforded enough time. Some honestly could be a lack of effort, not putting into the transition like they should. And some could be, and we hear this a lot, where they had a plan, they were working the plan, and it all fell through, and then they were lost, and um, there's just so many different factors, and everybody's transition is different. And your transition out of the military could be fantastic, and then all of a sudden you hit, another transition that impacts you in a negative way. So, it's just a continual process, and so many in this area hate the word transition because it makes it sound like it's one and done. And it's not the case. Several veterans go through situations where they have multiple jobs in the first 5 years. Each one of those is its own transition. So, understanding that it's a process and it's something that's going to continue. And even, I'm 2 years out of the military now, there's still things that, let's say, I hate the word trigger, but let's just say that there's triggers that happen and you're like, oh, and you're like, I don't like that, or I don't like this, or whatever the case may be. So it's continuously learning, evaluating yourself, seeing what impacts you, and being able to adjust as you can. So that's what we're trying to do, and trying to help people work through those continual transitions.
Totally. And that's the overall mission. Now, how will this database work? Explain how you're going to do that.
The vision for the database is that we want something that's sortable. We want to be able to capture every possible demographic so that you can go through, and if you only want to listen to Marine stories or Army stories, you could do that, or only intel or infantry or people who served in Afghanistan or even Vietnam or whatever the case may be. You want to be able to sort by all those different things. But we also want to capture those psychographics, the PTSD, the homelessness, suicidal ideations, addiction, those types of struggles that we're going through, because that's where people are going to really see that they're not alone. So many of us have struggled with different things, and for me, anger issues, PTSD, alcohol, those things have all been things that have impacted, my life and my transition, and things that I continuously work on. So, it's trying to get people to understand that they are absolutely not alone. And so many of us have gone through it, and so many of us are willing to talk to you about our story and what worked for us. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. But just having those conversations and helping people try to find the help that they need can make a huge impact on our community.
Yeah. A very, very huge impact in the community. And that's something that you got to be looking at, Shawn, in so many ways, and happy where you're going with this for sure. The thing also, do you need volunteers? Are volunteers needed? You talked about donations, but what about volunteers?
Oh yeah, the volunteer thing is only going to increase for us, because once we get the recording platform going, we're going to need volunteer help to screen all these videos, because we want them to be truly transition story videos. I know it's going to happen, but we don't want, let's call them Tinder ads or, sales pitches or whatever. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for true, authentic transition stories. And it's really going to take a lot of volunteers to help us, screen all the videos, make sure they're all tagged correctly so it's sortable, and getting everything uploaded. And of course, we have a whole bunch of different ideas and positions that we're looking at. And as we can afford to bring on people in a full-time role, we want to be able to do that. Ultimately, it's going to start with volunteers. So if you're looking to help out, you're looking to get involved in an organization, especially a new organization focused on veterans that wants to create paid positions, and it's going to be remote jobs, because we don't have a home office, and we're a podcast at our root, right? So, there's so many opportunities that are going to be coming down the pipe. If you're looking for something that can truly have impact and meaning, and, potentially turn into a paid position that you can continue to do, reach out to us. There are so many things coming down the pipe. We'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're able to volunteer now, bring you on as a volunteer, and help us work towards where we're trying to go, and be a part of this thing. And we'd just love to have people who truly care on board to help carry forward this mission.
And I think you really have the right people on board, that you're putting together a great team, and people can reach out to you best way to see if they'd like to volunteer or donate.
They can connect to me directly on LinkedIn. Shawn Welsh 00 is my um, what do you call it, address, I guess, vetsospodcast.com. Through there, there's a link to the GoFundMe page that we've had set up for a while. You can make donations through there. We will be following up and making sure everybody gets the correct paperwork for their taxes and things like that. And obviously, if you want to help us out, you can help us out. We would love to have your support. We believe in the mission we have going forward, and we think that this can truly help make a big impact for our community.
All right.